Here on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Just a couple segments ago, we showed you this 70s Camaro and how Danny Agosta from Steele Rubber came in and changed the door seal here and also the roof rail. Looks like new, seals even better than it did originally, and that is going to last for a long, long time. Now, Danny, we still have some work to do here in the trunk. I see you've gotten the old seal out of there. It was a mess. What was it like taking that out?
Yeah, so this seal was falling apart. Is very corroded and degrading. So I took it out and basically it's coming out in pieces. So that's the best you can do is just pull it out. And then I took my scraper tool, went around, tried to clean it up some. And then I had the 3M adhesive remover, sprayed that on, let it sit, scraped again, spray, scrape, vacuumed it all out. Now we're to a point where we've got a surface that we can glue to.
So there's no real magic to it, just a lot of elbow grease.
Yep, patience, making sure you try to get into the small spaces, just knowing that if you got something stuck under there, it's going to be blocking the weather strip you're trying to install, so you want to try to remove as much as possible.
It's not perfect, but we did a pretty good job here. Let's do a test fit here. That's the first thing we want to do to make sure we've got the right piece and make sure it's going to go in okay.
Yep, so this part just tucks into a channel, so it'll actually hold there without glue. But we'll come back and put glue just to make it permanent.
I think the person who put the original seal in here was very angry when they were using the glue. There was a whole lot of it.
There was a lot of glue. There was more than I usually see.
We'll get to that, but what's the technique when gluing? How much glue should you use when you're actually applying it?
You want to use a thin bead. The basics is you don't want a glob of glue. You basically want to put it in the channel and spread it out the best you can. I like to compare it to like a sticky note. You want to make it kind of spread out, and then you wait a little bit for it to get tacky, and then when you put the rubber in, it sticks basically immediately. And then you give it some time to cure. So once we do this, we'll leave the trunk open for a while overnight.
When we were doing the door, you mentioned this is made of the EPDM rubber. It's the same rubber that is used on fan belts and serpentine belts and that sort of thing. So it's super durable. How does that compare to the construction of the old seal that was on this vehicle?
Yeah, so this old seal in particular was made out of a blown latex. That latex material is actually a natural material. When it's a natural material, it biodegrades. And that seal will let water in and just mess up your metal and all that stuff.
I look down here and I see water was probably pooling in the trunk here. There's a big hole there. And
yeah, you can see the road from here. Water sitting in a trunk is a notorious problem. Trunk seals are probably one of the worst just because they're pretty flat and they get a lot of dirt. They're in the back of the car, so there's a lot of issues that go along with them, but you definitely want to replace it, and it's really easy to do that.
Now, lengthwise here, I see there's a little bit extra that we're going to need to trim off.
Yep, so what we'll do is we'll leave that for now, and when we come back and glue everything down, we'll cut it probably just about 1/4 inch long, and then you want to work that length back into the joint here, and what that'll do is it'll make sure that the rubber's always pressing together and not stretching and trying to pull apart.
Now, this seal is part of a kit that Steele Rubber supplies for these Camaros. How popular have you found these vehicles to be lately? And I assume that's why you put out a whole kit.
Yeah, so the second-gen Camaros are definitely growing in popularity. They've always been popular, but it's moving up in the generations. And the parts have been on the market for a long time, but there's always been issues with them, so we decided to make a steel part and make it exactly like the original was.
And there's a lot of cases out there where people may not have a classic vehicle like this. They've done a one-off. They've got a hot rod or something like that, and parts in Steele Rubber's catalog may not fit those vehicles. What's the solution for them?
We would point them towards our universal line. Essentially, it's the same quality seal, but lots of different profiles that you can apply in different places. Some of them may have a 3M adhesive back, so they're easy to install, but they're great for street rods, customs, just like you mentioned, something you're trying to make work.
Steele Rubber is branched out too. It's not just about automotive seals.
Yeah, so now we have a full line of RV seals and boat seals. You know, RVs, parts that are made just for them, for the big slide outs, big, rubber seals, and then boats have rub rails, essentially the bumper of the boat, all specific profiles, and we have replacement parts for those.
For us, it's just a matter of finishing up the test fit here, pull it back out, glue it back in, and we'll be good to go. Whether you have an RV, a boat, or a classic car, or even a hot rod you're building, SteeleRubber.com has the rubber seals you need. And we've got more cool products you need coming up right after this on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Stay tuned.